Hey guys, welcome to episode 1 of season 1 of Highlands Sports. You can find us on Instagram at Highlands_sports. Obviously, YouTube is right here, so that's that. We're just gonna get right into it. We're talking about football today, fantasy football all around.
Well, one of my reactions from week 5 is that Kyle Allen is the real deal for the Panthers. He should 100% remain the starter for the Panthers once Cam Newton gets back.
If him and Christian
healthy.
McCaffrey really develop like a bond and become good together, that could be a playoff
I
team.
think that also depends on Cam Newton's healthiness, whether he's still 100% feel like someone injured from him.
Cam Newton is 0-8 in his last 8 games started for 0 passing yards. Kyle Allen has not lost a game as the starter for the Panthers.
Interesting.
Do you really think Cam Newton has deserved the spot?
That's true. So, what do you guys think about that AFC matchup between the Ravens and Steelers? I mean, they've always had a rivalry going.
Both teams started off the year. Everybody thought they were going to be playoff contenders. The Steelers have not been looking good.
Well, Ben Roethlisberger did get injured in week 1.
Mason Rudolph has picked up the back end a little.
And then
It's a significant question, though.
and then he got injured.
Yeah.
So that's a. No,
All right.
I'm still not sure how I feel about Lamar Jackson, but
I think
He's looking good this year.
I think this game proved the Ravens aren't ready to be legit contenders yet.
No, one really interesting game, though, was the Cowboys-Packers game, right? The Cowboys have been looking so good, maybe Super Bowl contenders, and they were dethroned by the Packers. Aaron Jones went off.
Cowboys weren't looking good. They played 3 subpar teams.
They weren't looking like a contender.
They did show out in the beginning. I mean, everyone was talking about even Stephen A. Smith really said, really sorry. I mean, they've really shown he's in his NFL top 5. So I mean, who knows?
Oh, my bad. They looked like contenders against the Dolphins, though.
Yeah,
Do you think that really counts?
I guess, yeah.
Fair point.
Okay, so I mean, just another great backup quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater has really just shown true potential on these things. Picking up the back end.
Alvin Kamara has just not been playing up to what we thought he would be this season, and Bridgewater's picking that slack up. So,
Also, it really just hurts in fantasy when you have him like 2nd pick overall.
what do you guys think about the Tyler Lockett's catch?
What about it?
It was a good catch.
I saw
Nothing
his.
much to discuss, really.
I mean, it was amazing. I didn't think he was that good. I think of him as a returner
I'm going to say
kind of,
Ravens.
but
You don't think he's a legit wide receiver after the stats he's put up?
I don't think
Again,
I don't think he
consistent
deserves to be
receiver.
a number 1 receiver on a team as good as the Seahawks.
Why do you think Russell Wilson's in the MVP conversation? Yes, Russell
We will
Wilson.
get to that later. We will get to that later.
That's in it. But I mean, I think to wrap this segment, Week 5 reactions up, the Colts and Chiefs really somewhat battled it out last night. I mean, Patrick Mahomes didn't really ball out as we expected. I mean, he had a really nice on-the-go ramble.
That's good for us Patriots fans that
Exactly.
that number 1 spot's getting secured already.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe the Colts will be on the rise. Maybe Jacoby Brissett is, really picking up the slack. Maybe people thought the Colts season was done after Andrew Luck retired. But
Yeah.
who knows on that?
What do you guys think about the Eagles' defense? I know, Evan, you have them in fantasy. They
Yeah,
won
the Eagles'
game.
defense is still awful. Their pass defense is atrocious. Their run defense is good. They happen to play the Jets. I mean, so what? They got 2 defensive touchdowns because they're playing Luke Falk. That doesn't mean they're a good defense, though.
Something about I was playing Evan this week in fantasy. His defense put up 35 points. I lost because of
34.
that. 34. I lost because of that. And I mean, some of these things. Defenses can really play a big impact in the game. But yeah.
Yeah.
So wrap it up.
Hey, you want to move on to
I mean, I still
Okay, you want to talk?
Yeah, well, one thing is that Daniel Jones is definitely not an elite quarterback right now. He had a lot of hype after his first start, but that's because he played the Redskins.
I also feel bad. He's going up against a Patriots team that's the Patriots, especially under Bill Belichick, are known for picking on new QBs. So I think that's going to be a blow to him.
Another thing I had was that the Bears are not a real team this year. Mitchell Trubisky wasn't good as quarterback. Chase Daniel isn't good as quarterback. David Montgomery hasn't proved that he's an elite running back. Allen Robinson isn't an elite wide receiver. Their team just doesn't have offensive power.
They are 3-2 though, so
Yeah, but
I don't know if the stats say differently.
I mean, bye week this upcoming week. Who knows? Maybe they'll wrap it up together. Maybe they'll get it back together. But,
All right.
Who knows? So we'll be moving on to the next segment right now. We're talking about the quarter season MVP as we're already
All right.
4 weeks through. So Zach, do you mind
I
starting
would
us off
love
with
to
that?
start us off. I feel very strongly about this quarter season MVP, Russ baby, Russell Wilson. He has been so consistent this season. It's been absurd. Can I read some statistics?
Go for it.
Yeah?
Go for it.
Okay. His passer rating this season thus far, through week 5, 126.3. That is the highest among starting quarterbacks and like backup quarterbacks. So that's just like not including the receivers. Like 1 touchdown. Absurd. He's tied with Brady for passing yards with 1,409, and he has but the fact is that Brady has thrown 2 more interceptions. Among players with at least 50 completions this season, he has the second highest completion percentage with 73.1. And he's also a great rusher and scrambler, receiving get out of tough situations consistently. He has the 8th most rushing yards among quarterbacks. He is the all-around best quarterback in the league so far. No question about it. Best player. I'm sorry.
No, Zach, I disagree with you that he's the quarter season MVP. But that stat about Brady is pretty impressive, seeing as Brady's also only played pretty bad teams, except the Bills' defense.
Yeah.
So
who's your pick for quarter season MVP?
no, I know it's what most people would say, but I had to go with Christian McCaffrey. Here's a stat. He has 173 total yards from scrimmage every game. He's averaging 173 yards from scrimmage. That's just astonishing.
Right.
I mean-
These are all impressive statistics, but think about it. A running back never wins MVP unless their team does extremely well and they don't have a good quarterback.
That's
Well,
not a good argument for why.
But it's
he
true.
shouldn't win
It's
it.
true. That's how the
So,
MVP works.
Doesn't mean he shouldn't win it.
Is
Yeah.
he really that
But
valuable of
who
a
we
player?
think he should
All right.
win.
What's the Panthers' record right now? Sorry.
The Panthers are, I have it, they're 3-2.
Right. If your team is going consistently 3-2, and even if you're a
Well,
very good player,
that's just
you
Cam
are
Newton's
clearly
start.
not one of the most valuable players in the
But
league.
Zach,
That's just Cam
Cam
Newton's
Newton-
Yeah,
start.
but you said, Evan, you said yourself, maybe if Cam Newton comes back, Kyle Allen is still going to hold
That's
down.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Kyle Allen's
But
3-0.
Zach, if Kyle Allen can find his spot in this Panthers
Oh, okay,
offense,
they're saying that the Panthers are going to do all because of Kyle Allen got it.
no, I mean I'm saying they're gonna do well because of McCaffrey. I'm just saying you can't say that because he's not on a great team, he's not gonna get him.
Right. That's fair, but all I'm saying is that Russell Wilson is just clearly been carrying the Seahawks very hard to their 4-win start. Very impressive.
What about you, Sean? Who do you think?
I mean, again, I'm looking. I tried to look more on the defensive end, but I really just couldn't find anything that was just opposing Christian McCaffrey. I mean,
Let's go.
he's 117 rushing yards per game so far, 55 receiving yards per game, 6 touches through 5 games. I mean, it's just not there. He's just completely dominating. He had a phenomenal performance, putting up around 50 fantasy points last week. I mean, he just really outshines all the other running backs. Alvin Kamara really not putting up to the potential we wanted him to. Saquon Barkley injured right now. Maybe he'd be in the contest, I guess, if he was there. But
Even before Saquon got injured, he was playing well, but not nearly as well as McCaffrey's playing right now.
Evan, how about who's your take?
I gotta go with the obvious pick. Christian McCaffrey
Oh my God.
is not my pick. It's Russell Wilson.
Let's go, baby.
He's single-handedly taking the Seahawks to 4-1. That's no easy task. Yes, Greg Zuerlein missed the field goal, and yes, the Rams could have won that game, but it was Russell Wilson who kept them in. Tyler Lockett is a number 1 receiver, but they do not have the best receiving corps. Will Disley is a first-year tight end, and you could see
Still astounding.
how Russell Wilson's taking him
DK
to
Metcalf.
elite levels. DK Metcalf is a solid guy, not
But-
ready to be a number 1 guy.
You're
But-
right.
Russell Wilson is the MVP this year so far.
Just saying, the Seahawks have beat the Bengals by 1, which isn't very impressive. The Steelers without Roethlisberger by 2. So, and you just said the Rams probably should have
Alright,
won
that's
that
not true
game.
though.
I didn't say
So-
they probably
That's
could have
not
won. I
true.
said they could
They
have
could have
That's
easily
not
won.
true though.
So,
Wait.
all 3 of those games are very close. So your argument that the Seahawks are doing really well because of Wilson, I don't think is true.
That's
I
not
think
true.
they've
But let's say, wait. Let's say
Right.
you're starting it for the contenders and pretending.
No, this
I
isn't
really
the
feel-
Seahawks. There's 2 things. Right. First off, the Seahawks, Ben Roethlisberger played through half the third quarter against them. It was not without Ben Roethlisberger injured at the end of that game. First off. Second off, the weakest link in the Seahawks is not in their offense. They have a fabulous offense. right? It's in their secondary and overall in their defense. Their defense has been good for so long, but right now their secondary is just not doing anything. Right? There really aren't enough strong points. As a Seahawks fan, I hate to say it, but it's really lacking, and I don't think we can win a Super Bowl with the secondary.
I mean, yeah, you bring up a good point, I guess.
I was gonna say that just because they win close games doesn't discredit their wins.
Yeah.
When a team wins a game, you don't say, "Oh, it only counts as half a win. They only won by 1 point." It's a win whether you win by 1 point or 50 points. It doesn't matter.
Again, very true. Good points all around. All right, so we'll be moving into our next segment now. Sit-ups. It's a very popular fantasy sort of expertise type of thing. Evan will be doing quarterbacks. Zach here will be doing wide receivers. Myself will be doing running backs. And my boy Solo over here will be doing some tight ends. We're going to go down the line, start them and sit them. And yeah, take it away, Evan.
Well, my start of the week, I got Matty Ice. Matt Ryan. He's been stellar this season. He's had one or two down games, but last week he was stellar. And this week he will be stellar again. He's playing the Cardinals. Oh, he's going to be great.
Stellar?
No,
Stellar.
it's going to be amazing.
Okay.
He's playing a Cardinals team.
Stellar.
Just let Andy Dalton feast on them. Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton has not been great this season, but he still was able to feast on the Cardinals team. They've allowed 12 touchdowns through the air this year so far, and Matt Ryan's just going to continue slinging it to Julio Jones, passing it to Devonta Freeman, and they're going to go off this week. Mark my word.
And your sit-up?
Take your time.
My sit-up is Marcus Mariota. He's playing a tough Denver pass defense. Still has stars such as Chris Harris. They've been great against the pass, holding Phillip Rivers to not a lot of points. Picking him off twice. I just wouldn't expect Mariota to have a great week this week.
All right. On to wide receivers. My starter is Michael Gallup. As Evan would say, Michael Gallup, I expect to be stellar. Gallup has played just 2 full games this year due to a knee injury in Week 2 versus the Redskins. However, in these 2 games, he played Week 1 and Week 5. Gallup dropped 15 and 18. That's pretty good. But it's even more impressive. He dropped 15 and 18 fantasy points. That's pretty good. But it's even more impressive that he dropped 18 on the Packers of all team. One of the best, if not the best secondaries in the league. Week 6, he's playing the Saints, whose defensive backs have been lacking. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Gallup getting some targets from Zachary Prescott. And Gallup putting up numbers, I expect him to put up numbers somewhere in the 20s, high 20s.
And what are your sit-ups?
Brandon Cooks. See, in one of my fantasy leagues, I got Brandon Cooks, so I'm not very happy that I have to say this. But Brandon Cooks has been on a constant decline since Week 2, as he hasn't been putting up fabulous numbers. Cooks scored just 4 in Seattle last week, despite Seattle having a very disappointing secondary. That's the only thing in the way of an easy Super Bowl win. So easy. So
Been
easy.
on the decline since
Clearly.
the Packers.
Clearly.
Anyway, this week, before he put up the week before, he put up just 7 against Tampa Bay, whose pass defense is one of the worst in the NFL. I don't expect Cooks to do so much better against San Fran's mediocre secondary. The significant majority of Goff's targets have been going to the Rams' star receiver, Cooper Kupp, in addition to Robert Woods. I also wouldn't be surprised to see the Rams running the ball a fair amount after Gurley's good performance against Seattle's great run D. Even though the Niners have a fantastic run D as well. In conclusion, Cooks will not be targeted as much and will continue his decline.
In conclusion.
Also, don't forget about Everett Goff's got many targets, so he can just shout.
Yeah, exactly.
And
So-
Robert Woods, who hasn't been doing that well this year.
So yes, fantasy right here, Robert Woods. So my stardom, I'm going to give running backs. My stardom of the week is Derrick Henry, who, just a beast himself. He's not really facing a very good Broncos run defense right now. The Broncos defense has allowed 126 rushing yards against opposing teams. Derrick Henry being a 6'3", 238 absolute monster of a beast will, in my opinion, run over the Broncos. I think he will just absolutely produce, get those fantasy points, maybe finish at the goal line, get some long carries in. We know the stiff arms he had against the Jacksonville Jaguars, so he's really scary when he gets going, and I think he will against the below-average Broncos defense.
Sean, if I do recall, Didn't Leonard Fournette have over 200 yards against that weak Broncos defense?
Yeah.
Derrick Henry's gonna have a monster week.
What can I say, man? What can I say?
Good
All right.
prediction.
As my sit of the week on the opposing end is Todd Gurley. This may come as a surprise, but he's dealing with his injury. Everyone on the Rams is saying, no, he's fine. Don't worry about it. Just watch the games. And Todd Gurley just really hasn't been putting up the amount of rushing yards. He hasn't broke 100 yards rushing in any game this season yet, which is a little bit unusual for Todd Gurley considering he's an MVP type caliber player. But he's facing a really strong 49ers defense, back their contenders. I mean, they're really just taking off. With the Bosa addition, I think everyone on the 49ers is just kind of grew. Sherman's kind of exponentially growing, and I think they will overpower Gurley, get goal line stop, maybe just stop him in general. And I think Todd Gurley will not put up. What do you think?
So for my stardom, I said the vet Jason Witten, who's playing at the Jets. And even though Witten has been he had great weeks 1 and 2, and he's had little less good weeks 3 and 4 and 5, but he's playing a Jets defense that could be the worst in the league. So I think, here's my prediction, he'll get a touchdown and at least 80 yards this week against the Jets.
Wow, Jason Witten is used to getting just a touchdown, maybe a couple of yards on the side. So
But,
Didn't the Jets defense limit Carson Wentz to just one passing touchdown though?
okay, but I mean, the Eagles
defense-
defense kind of carried away with a couple of touchdowns,
That's fair.
31 total points.
That is
All
true.
right.
They must not have had enough
And
ball time.
you said him?
My sit-em was Evan Engram, the up and rising star. I know he's been playing really well this year, but the Patriots defense is probably, if not definitely, the best defense in the league. And I touched on it earlier. They'll capitalize on Daniel Jones being new to the league, as the Patriots often do. So I also think the Patriots secondary, depending how high they consider Engram, could have Stephon Gilmore covering him, which would be just, if Stephon Gilmore's covering anyone, you should bench them. So that's my sit-em for the week.
All right, and just to add real quick in between segments, so just getting the news about 1 hour ago that Ben Watson was just released from the Patriots tight end. He was suspended for a couple of games, and we really thought he was going to be a big addition. So, I mean, what do you guys take on that? That could be a really big loss for the Patriots.
I
I don't think it's that big of a loss. If they
Yeah.
really wanted him, they
I
would
mean,
have
the
taken him.
Patriots were already.
They got rid of him voluntarily.
I think-
he wouldn't have been that big of an addition considering how the tight end position has been pretty irrelevant
Well-
this year, and he wouldn't have added much.
I see your point, and I somewhat agree. But also, Week 5, which was the last week, was the first week where the Patriots offense was starting to utilize those tight ends a lot. And maybe with a veteran addition of Ben Watson to their tight end core, they could make the tight end position as important or almost as important as it was with Gronk on the team.
Yeah.
You think a washed-up 38-year-old would have made that big of a difference?
Well, I
The
think they're
Patriots got rid
starting.
of him. They
Guys,
didn't want him.
the Patriots are.
If they really wanted
The
him,
Patriots suck either way. Okay.
if Bill Belichick is the
You're
number
right,
one
you're right.
general manager in the league, better than that trash John Snyder, and if the Patriots really wanted him, if Bill Belichick really thought he was going to add something to the offense, they wouldn't have got rid of him. It's not a big loss.
That's a good point.
I mean,
Fair point.
Evan kind of just spoke my mind to me completely, I think. Well, Belichick, I'm never going to question him. He completely knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever
I
he
mean,
does.
I-
I think he's the greatest coach. of
I
all
think
time.
Oh,
he
of
is a
course,
great
of
coach,
course.
but he
He might cheat
also.
sometimes, but
I don't agree that you agree with him all the time. He benched Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl because of a personal grudge.
It wasn't
So-
because of a personal grudge. It was the right move to do. He had been
That's-
embarrassed all season.
I mean, when he's on the Titans now, nothing. He hasn't really produced much. I mean, he's just not really.
I mean,
He's
he-
system
he-
player.
Malcolm Butler put up
Although-
literally one good game.
although we praise Malcolm for that
He was
interception at the
amazing that
goal line,
year, and then
although we praise
He's not
Malcolm,
amazing that year.
he was our number one CB that year.
No, he just had one good memorable play.
And then that
He's
year he was
terrific.
our number one.
I mean, the next
cornerback.
year or the year of the Super Bowl.
The year that Belichick benched him in the Super Bowl. I
That's
forget
not
what
true.
year that
He
was.
was a mediocre.
That was
quarterback.
Super Bowl 52.
Okay, but you can't just be like, oh yeah, he made this one bad decision. Generally,
No,
about
yeah, I agree.
99.9%
I'm just
of
saying.
the time, he makes rash decisions, or not rash decisions. He makes unpredictable decisions
That ended up working.
that end up working.
Yes.
Exactly. So I would trust
That's-
on this one.
Okay.
All right, so our next and final segment is going to be game picks towards week 6. As a couple Dolphins get off bye. We'll see if they can do something. So let's just go game by game. I'll shout out games and you guys just come in with that.
Yeah.
So what are we thinking? Giants and Patriots.
I'm going Giants in this one. No, I'm kidding. I think we all got Patriots, right?
The Patriots.
Oh, yeah, I
No.
got them to it.
No more said.
I have the Patriots.
Yep.
Not much to say there.
All right. And then what do you guys think about Panthers at Buccaneers?
I actually have the Buccaneers in that game. We talked about their receivers earlier. Chris Godwin is the number 1 fantasy receiver and an amazing just in-game receiver. I think he can help them get the win.
I'm going Bucks on this one. I think that after beating the Rams, even if they're not a great team, I think they're a team that can put up points, and I think that they can get some wins.
I think, in my opinion, I think Bucks win at home. I think they squeeze out against the Panthers. Panthers are going to be coming. They're going to be really hot. Christian McCaffrey coming off a monster game.
Right.
Something like 3 touchdowns, 260 rushing yards, something like that. Kyle Allen maybe finding his groove finally. We'll see if he gets going. Not gets going, but continues to be doing what he's doing.
What did you think, Evan?
I'm going to go with the Panthers on this one. Their defense has been consistent. They've been good. Christian McCaffrey's been a monster. Their passing game has been well ever since Cam Newton has been injured. Kyle Allen's going to have a solid game. Christian McCaffrey's going to have a great game, and they're going to limit this Buccaneers offense.
Who has been explosive? Don't get me wrong.
I think we all agree that will be a close game.
So next game is Redskins and Dolphins at Dolphins.
So I said the Redskins in this. This is the battle of the 0-5s, but the Redskins, I feel like I'm not sure Colt McCoy is that good, but I feel like he's definitely better than the Dolphins. He can do better than the Dolphins' defense, so I think they'll pull it out.
Yeah, sorry. Did you say something?
No.
All right. In this game, I do have the Dolphins. I think the Redskins just firing Jay Gruden this past week really gonna be a mix up. The GM says, quote, we're doing damn good, close quote. So we'll see. I think the Dolphins, maybe their coach has been really bold and really courageous this whole season. So maybe I think they pull one out here at home.
Before their coach got fired, I had the Redskins. But after this, I'm not so sure anymore. I think I could see the Dolphins taking a win on this one. Defying the odds of taking the 16 season, the dreaded 16 season. I think that under a new coach, it's very likely that the Redskins put up a pretty good game.
So you have the Redskins.
I have the Dolphins.
Oh, I'm going to go with the Dolphins as well. I just don't think the Redskins have a great team. Their quarterback situation is a mess. Their coaching situation is a mess.
Yeah.
The Dolphins may not be a great team. They may not even. They're actually awful. Simply awful. But
no, hold back.
they have their quarterback position figured out. Josh Rosen. They have their head coach firm and stable. Brian Flores is a leader. And he's a great defensive mind. Their defense definitely is not great.
What about their quarterback?
Especially after trading away Minka Fitzpatrick. But the Dolphins are going to tough one out, and they're going to come out with this win.
All right, great. Moving on to the next game, Eagles at Vikings.
All right, I'm going to go Vikings in this one at home. I think it's going to be a close one, but I think that the Vikings, both these teams, they're okay teams, right? They're mediocre teams. The pack. I think Vikings win this one at home.
I said the Vikings as well because they are in Minnesota, so they always play well at home. Also, Dalvin Cook, even though he does have a knack for getting injured in Week 6, if he doesn't, he is already an MVP contender, and he could keep that up this week.
I kind of agree somewhat. I think the Eagles are going to take this one. I think Carson Wentz is going to stay bold. I think he's going to be an MVP type caliber player at this Vikings field. I think maybe Kirk Cousins could show a little potential with Adam Thielen just coming off the 100-something, 30 yards, 2 touchdown game. But I do think the Eagles are going to come out on top with their defense being stellar from last week.
Sean, you said Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate.
No, I said he could play like if he does play like an MVP type caliber player.
Well, most players who are in that conversation get more than one touchdown against the Jets. I got the Vikings in this one.
Damn.
It's in cold Minnesota. Eagles' passing D is just awful.
Yeah.
Simply awful. Just awful.
It did well last week.
My God, they're doing that on this
Oh,
one.
congrats. They did well against Luke Falk.
I'm just saying they could be on the up.
This is the week that Kirk Cousins redeems himself again. Stephon Diggs, doesn't matter whether he's good, but he has Adam Thielen. That's his guy. He's going to do good. Vikings D is going to limit this Eagles offense, and they're going to get the win.
I like your take on that one.
All right, great take. So next game we've got Texans at Chiefs coming. Chiefs coming off that loss. With the Colts.
I said the Chiefs will take that one. I think by a large margin. You know, the Texans were my pretender. I think they just can't hang like with the good teams, and the Chiefs are easily going to take this win. I think that loss. I'm not saying it was a fluke, but I don't think it can say much about the Chiefs as an overall team.
You don't think the Chiefs are flawed?
No,
I think they're close to not flawed.
I
They
think
have a
this was
good
a trap
defense, good
game.
offense.
I think this was a trap game. I have the Chiefs winning. I think although Deshaun Watson could put up big numbers like he just did, I still think the Chiefs are going to bounce back. Pat Mahomes is going to come off with a monster week. I agree, Chiefs by a good amount of points.
Yeah. I gotta agree with these two. But I got the Chiefs. I got this one on a close margin. I got the Chiefs winning just by a little bit. I think this is really going to be a battle between quarterbacks. I think it's really just going to be Watson and Mahomes really just battling this one out. But I think at the end of the day, Mahomes is going to take it.
I think this is going to be a shootout. I mean, you saw the Texans score 50 plus points last week.
Fair point.
Yes, Pat Mahomes got limited, and it proved that the Chiefs aren't unbeatable. In fact, maybe the Colts are better than them. But the Chiefs and Texans both have incredibly weak pass defenses. It's going to be a shootout. Chiefs are going to come up on top by a decent amount. Not too much, though.
Next game moving forward, we have Saints at Jaguars.
So in this game, I had the Saints winning, just because we talked about Bridgewater earlier. I think he's a good QB. I think the Jaguars' offense relies too much on Fournette, and I don't know too much about the Jaguars, but I know about the Saints, and I think they're good enough to win.
I agree. I have the Saints in this one. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to keep things going. I think he's going to keep things rolling back in that injured Drew Brees. I think he's really just kept it going.
Yeah, I agree with this one. This one, I think the Saints take it over the Jags. The Saints, they have a strong backfield in Kamara, and Teddy Bridgewater's really been proving himself so far this year. I think they take it.
I think Saints over Jaguars. Saints have a okay defense, but the Jaguars don't have a good defense or a good offense. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a bit overrated because of his last game mostly, but I still think he's good enough where he's going to lead them to a win.
Nice. Next game, Seahawks at Browns.
I have the Seahawks in this one, not because of Russell Wilson, however, just because the Browns, even though they were hot shots coming into the season, they haven't really proved themselves to be as good as they say, and we might see tonight in Monday Night Football, but I just think they're not even as good as we think.
I also have the Seahawks. I mean, Russell Wilson's scary. He's going to keep things going. I don't think the Browns. I think they maybe get some weapons on the go, but I think the Seahawks wrap this one up.
Yeah, you guys already know from episode 1 how I feel about the Seahawks. I think they're a top tier team, and the Browns are, and I don't see how the Browns can take this one. What's like all that?
I think it's a close game,
That's funny.
but I think that Seahawks are going to come up on top. Yes, the Browns are going to be coming off a win against the awful 49ers, but Seahawks are just better than them.
You think the 49ers are awful?
I don't think they're a good team.
That's interesting. All right.
Let's go a little bit quicker on this one. Rapid fire round. Bengals at Ravens.
Okay.
I have the Ravens just straight up better.
I do also have the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's going to go off.
I've got the Ravens. They're playing the Bengals. Come on now.
I've got the Bengals. Andy Dalton has proved that although he's inconsistent, he can be a starting quarterback when he needs to step up. Ravens have proved that they
Take
only
your
feast
smart
on
water
bad
away.
teams.
Take your smart water away.
I mean,
This is a kids-friendly show.
hey, who knows? We'll see
Is
after.
smart water or vodka?
Okay, so next game we've got 49ers at Rams. Still open.
I have the 49ers in this one. I'm not sure how bold it is, but I think most people would say the Rams, but Jimmy G's going to pull this one out.
I've also got the 49ers. I think Jimmy G is going to keep things rolling. I think that the 3-0 team going into Monday Night Football tonight, I think they have the potential to get a win tonight. But, who knows? I think they'll take this one with the Rams.
Yeah, I gotta go with the Niners as well. I think that it's gonna be a pretty close matchup, but the Niners have been exceeding expectations, proving to be a top 3 team. I know Evan's gonna disagree with us on that one though, but I think that the Rams have been underachieving. They haven't been putting up numbers, they haven't been taking these close wins, and they haven't been clutch. I'm sorry, I don't see them winning this game against the top 2 Niners.
This game's going to be interesting. You got the 1-loss Rams going against the 1-loss 49ers.
But 3-0 going into tonight, man.
Wait.
Yeah, 3-1
No, the
going
Rams
into the
took
Rams game.
3-0
No,
tonight.
the Rams
The
are
49ers have
play
only
tonight
played
against
3
the
games.
Yeah, they're going to
Yeah,
be
and
3-1.
the Rams are
Alright, we'll see tonight.
Okay.
the Seahawks and the Buccaneers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Rams are 3-2. Doesn't mean anything. Yes, they lost against the Buccaneers. Doesn't mean anything. Yes, they lost against the Seahawks. Doesn't mean anything. Still going to make the playoffs. They're going to make a run. They might not win the division over the Seahawks, but they're going to beat the 49ers this week.
All right.
No question.
All right. Let's keep things moving here. We got Falcons at Cardinals. Let's go, Speedrun.
I had the Falcons. Austin Hooper, best tight end in the league. He's going to carry them to this win.
Talk about non-bias in fantasy. I also have the Falcons. Kyler Murray, although coming off a great win against the Bengals, I think the Falcons easily take this one.
Yeah, I think that both these teams are not great teams. But I think the Falcons are going to have to take this one by a slight margin. Cardinals are they're made up entirely of weak links, except for Kyler Murray. I don't see a world where they beat the Falcons on this one.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
What the?
The Falcons' defense has been atrocious. They let Marcus Mariota carve them up like they're
Mariota's
Patrick
amazing.
Mahomes. They let Deshaun Watson score 53 points on him. And just the Cardinals, Kyler Murray's going to have a great week. And David Johnson's going to have a great week. And it's going to be a shootout. Not too much of a shootout like the Chiefs game, but the Cardinals are going to come up on top at home.
All right, next game, Cowboys at Jets. Again, speed around.
I have the Cowboys. The Jets are
Watch this.
terrible, so
No.
that's my pick.
I also have the Cowboys. Simple. Game over.
The Jets are one of the worst teams in the league. The Cowboys are one of the best. It is not possible, no matter what Evan says, that
3
the
weeks,
Jets beat the Cowboys.
Do you
They
really
beat
have
the
the Jets?
Redskins, the
The
Dolphins.
Cowboys are so much better than
Evan,
the Jets
do you
on
have the
so many
Jets?
levels. I cannot see a world where the Jets beat the Cowboys. I'm willing to put my firstborn child on this.
I'm going to have to disagree. No, I'm going to go with the Cowboys
Thank
on
God.
this.
Oh my God.
Cowboys are a middle team. They're average, maybe above average, but the Jets are just awful. And until they get Sam Darnold back, which they might get this week, they're not going to compete.
All right, next game, we've got Titans at Broncos.
No, I have the Titans in this one. I think Marcus Mariota is, even though his stats don't say it, he's carrying the Titans. And I think the Titans are going to win the AFC South, all because of him. So I think he can get them this one against the Broncos.
I've got the Titans as well. I think with Derrick Henry being my start of the week, I think he'll go off. Although Philip wins, he might retaliate, get some.
He's injured,
Okay, well then, Joe Flacco will have a good game. But I just think overall Titans take this one on my high.
Yeah, I gotta disagree with him on this one. I think that they're two pretty mediocre teams. But the thing is that the Titans, they do have a strong running back in Derrick Henry, but I disagree. I don't think that Mariota is going to be able to take this team to the win. I think that with the Broncos having such a strong receiver core in Cortland Sutton and Emmanuel Sanders, I don't think they can lose this one.
I don't think the Broncos have a strong receiver core.
Cortland's insane.
But I do think the Broncos are going to come up on top. Titans are a very inconsistent team, balancing mediocrity and just being bad. And that's not a good balance. Marcus Mariota, my sit of the week, he's not going to have a good week. Sure, Derrick Henry might go off, but doesn't matter. Broncos are going to win.
Next game, we've got Steelers at Chargers.
I have the Chargers in this one. I think that the Steelers simply, even now that Rudolph might even not play, they don't have a quarterback. They can't compete. They're just going to lose.
I have the Chargers. This just should backup quarterback coming in for the Steelers. Mr. Irrelevant. No one knows his name.
Third string.
Unless he gets going. Maybe, I don't know. This could be a close one, but I do think Chargers pull away.
Yeah, see, I was really like going back and forth on this one when I picked it, but I had to settle on the Steelers. I think that Juju finally had his breakout game last week. He's been playing pretty poorly, but last week he put up a good game. I think that even with a weak quarterback, I think that their offense can really win this one. Meanwhile, the Chargers, I'm not going to lie, I think that they're going to give Melvin Gordon a lot of snaps and Austin Eckler not so many, and I don't think that's going to be good for them as Melvin Gordon in the second week. I don't think he's going to do so well.
Yeah, I don't think Devlin Hodges is going to be able to lead the Steelers to a win. He's just not capable of doing it. He didn't do too bad in the game, but
Definitely.
I think Phillip Rivers and the Chargers are going to come up with a win.
Good picks all around. Last game we got Monday Night Football. We've got the Lions at the Packers.
You know, I think this is going to be a really close game, but Aaron Rodgers has a knack for winning Monday Night Football. I think the Packers are going to pull it out.
I've got the Detroit Lions at the Green Bay Packers. I think Matthew Stafford is just I think he's playing really well this year. I mean, he's got a target, Kenny Galladay, who can really get up there and catch the ball. Kerryon Johnson, a really consistent running back. I think just the Lions are too much for the Packers to handle that night.
Yeah, last game this week, Rodgers declined to put up big numbers, and he did not play great. I don't see him and the Packers mediocre team beating out the Lions this week.
I'm very big on the Lions, but the Packers are going to get this win. Aaron Rodgers is going to respond back after last week's lackluster week, and he's going to come back with a big game in prime time like he always does, and he's going to have a stellar game. And the Packers are going to get this win.
Yeah. If anyone has anything else left. All right.
Yeah. Last word. Gordon said is insane. Such a player.
All right. Well,
He's
thanks for
producing
tuning
on
in.
Austin fans.
Thanks for tuning in. Episode 1, Season 1, Highlands Sports.
Subscribe.
Highlands.
Subscribe to the YouTube, follow the Insta.
Find us on Insta at Highlands_sports. We'll be coming out with weekly videos. We're trying to set on a date right now, but overall, I think it was a great episode 1. Really got all of our ideas out there. Covered all the topics we wanted to. So, leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, kind of
Signing off.
Shout out Smartwater. Shout out
That was so
Chromebooks.
great.
Smart Water sponsor us.
I think I'll be trying to rock.
I'm including that.